You're listening to the Build Your Wealth podcast, episode number 38. When was the last time you bought something from someone who knew nothing about that product? My guess is you probably haven't. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how knowing your ish can help build confidence to increase sales. So stay tuned. Ugh. It's that time of day again. Time to get up and make someone else rich. Hi there and welcome to the Build Your Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Thompson. Over the years, I've taken the skills I've learned as a dedicated employee in multiple fields and turned it into a thriving six-figure online business to create a wealth of my own. Now I'm here to teach you how to do the same thing. I share my successes and failures as an online business owner with you to help you avoid the pitfalls that can come with being an entrepreneur in the online space. It's my goal to help you achieve your success faster, adopt the right mindset for that success, and to show you how failing forward is all part of the process in building your wealth instead of someone else's. This is the Build Your Wealth podcast. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so grateful to have you listening in today because without you, I'd kind of just be talking to myself, right? For this episode, I started thinking about the difference between how I run my business now and how I used to run it. How I used to approach selling and how I used to feel about talking to my customers. Because in the beginning, I'm going to be completely honest with you here, I was a nervous wreck. I'm a major introvert. And one of the main reasons I originally started an online business was because I thought it was an ideal way to remain safely in my little shell and not have to deal directly with the public. But what I quickly learned is that not only would I still have to deal with the public, I would have to be more in front of the public than I ever was before. See, it sounds all nice and cozy, starting an online business. I could work from home and hide behind my computer. I set up all the bells and whistles on my website so that I didn't have to talk to anyone any more than necessary. I had every type of automated form you could think of built into that website. I had live chat, email forms, custom online forms, automated messages, autoresponders, and all the other things that could answer my clients' questions without needing my direct help. And while every one of them worked great, what my business was lacking was a personal touch. But because I was just first starting out, I was still learning all the ins and outs of my business. I wasn't super confident in what I was putting out there. I mean, not only was I not super confident in my products because it was all so new, but I also lacked the confidence of being a business owner. So when I started reaching out to customers in person to try to gain a larger audience, what I discovered about myself was that lack of confidence showed up big time when I tried to talk to them. I mean, I wore it like a suit. Whether it was in person or on the phone, I was so timid to ask for the sale or even tell them the price of the product. I was always worried that they were going to balk at the price or have some objection to my products that I just couldn't answer. And while yes, that's true in some cases, there'll always be objections. There'll always be people balking at the price of something. But there's a lot of people that are going to go ahead and make that purchase. After all, they came to your website for a reason. They followed the links to your product pages and were interested enough in that product or service to want to learn more about it. And just because someone wants to know more about those products or services doesn't mean that they're automatically going to object when you answer them. So while I was clumsy at first, and if I'm being honest, it was for quite a while, the more I talked to people and answered the questions and handled those objections and told people the prices with confidence, with that no bones about it attitude, the easier it got and the more people bought. Because the more confidently you can speak about your product or service and even the price of whatever it is that you offer, the more likely that person you're talking to will be willing to buy. Because think about it. You wouldn't want to spend your hard-earned money with someone who's all wishy-washy, timid, and not at all confident. Because them not being confident totally diminishes your confidence in that product being able to work for you. So the moral of the story here is to know your products inside and out, to where you can talk about them with confidence and intelligence. Go into the conversation with the attitude of it doesn't matter what this product costs, because it is so damn awesome that you're not going to want to live another day of your life without having this in it. Like I said, there's always going to be objections, but let's face it, it's never really about money. Because 99% of the time, if there's something that we want and we want it bad enough, we'll find a way to come up with the money for it. Am I right? The objection comes from the lack of confidence, the lack of believing that whatever this product or service is will benefit them in a way that satiates that deep desire for whatever problem your product or service promises to solve. When people buy something, they rarely purchase from a need mentality. When we're purchasing a product or service, the core of what we're wanting to purchase comes from an area of our mind that feeds our wants. By speaking about our products and services with confidence, it speaks to that part of the brain in building up that desire to satisfy that want. So in a nutshell, when you talk to your customers or potential customers, know your ish. Because when you go into that conversation, knowing your stuff inside and out, and speaking about your product or service in a way that feeds that desire, your sales are going to skyrocket. And yes, a lot of people will answer you with the objection of it's too expensive. But most of the time, there's a deeper root to that objection. There's something else that's causing them to hesitate. So go back and look at your messaging. Make sure you're speaking to the want as well as the need. And go in there knowing your stuff. Granted, the first few times may be hard because you're new to your business. You're new to talking about this to customers. But every time you talk about it, you're going to automatically become more confident. And every time you get a sale, it'll validate your ability to sell your product, solve your customers' problems, and ultimately be successful. The more you practice, the more you put yourself out there, the more confident you'll become. And the more confident you are, the more money you're going to make. Next week, I'm going to be talking about the 5 best practices for writing product descriptions that sell. So I hope you're subscribed to the show so that you get a notification when the new episode goes live, because I know you don't want to miss it. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'll talk to you then. You've been listening to the Build Your Wealth podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you don't miss an episode by subscribing to the show. I've included any links to specifics mentioned in the show notes section below so you can easily grab them there. I hope you'll consider leaving a review for me and let me know what you thought about the show, and if it helped you or resonated with you in some way, I'd love to hear about that too. Thanks again, and I'll see you over on the next episode to your success.